அடுத்த ஆண்டுகளில் வருகின்ற மகாநாடுகளில் இந்த நிகழ்வை சிறப்புற நடாத்துவார் என்ற செய்தியை இந்த தருணத்திலே குறிப்பிட்டுக் கொண்டு இப்பொழுது தம்பதிகள் இருவரையும் பத்மமோகன் தம்பதிகளை இங்கே முன்னுக்கு வருமாறு அன்போடு அழைக்கின்றோம். அவர்களுக்கு பொன்னாடை போட்டு கௌரவம் இடம்பெறும்.
கப்பலே கவிழ்ந்தாலும் கலங்காதே இளைஞனே, உன் உழைப்பை துடுப்பாக்கினால் நிச்சயம் நீ கரை சேர்வாய். அந்த வகையிலே இவர்கள் எங்களுடையவர்களுக்கு ஒரு துடுப்பாக இருக்கிறார்கள். அந்த துடுப்புக்கு உங்கள் கரகோஷம் ஒரு எதிர்ப்பாக இருக்கும் என்று சொல்லி எங்களுடைய பரிசளிப்பு அமர்வு இத்துடன் நிறைவு பெற்று எங்கள் அடுத்த அமர்வு இப்போது ஆரம்பிக்க காத்திருக்கின்றது. அந்த வகையிலே அடுத்த அமர்விற்காக நாங்கள் அழைத்து நிற்பது எங்கள் அமர்வை தலைமை தாங்குவதற்காக திருமதி கீதா மகேஸ்வரன் அவர்களை அன்புடன் அழைத்து நிற்கின்றோம். இவர் இந்த மாநாட்டினுடைய ஸ்தாபகர் ஏடிஎல் ரத்னசிங்கம் ஐயா அவர்களுடைய புதல்வியாக இருக்கக்கூடியவர். அவருக்கு பின்னர் இந்த பணிகளை அவருடைய மருமகனார் தன்னுடைய பணி போல அந்த மாமனாருடைய பணியை கனவை இன்று வரை நிறைவேற்றி 25வது வெள்ளி விழா வரைக்கும் இவர்கள் கொண்டு வந்திருக்கிறார்கள் என்றால் இந்த திருமதி கீதா மகேஸ்வரன் மற்றும் மகேஸ்வரன் ஐயா அவர்களுக்குரிய உங்களுடைய பாராட்டுதல்களோடு இந்த மேடைக்கு தலைமை தாங்குவதற்காக கீதா மகேஸ்வரன் அவர்களை அன்புடன் அழைக்கின்றோம். அவருடன் இணைந்து உரையாற்றுவதற்காக டாக்டர் குமுதன் ஸ்ரீஸ்கந்தராஜா மற்றும் கஜன் ரகுநாதன் மற்றும் வைத்திய கராநிதி திருமதி சசி ராஜமனோகரன் ஐயா அம்மா அவர்களையும் அன்புடன் அழைத்து நிற்கின்றோம். அந்த வகையிலே இந்த அமர்வை கீதா மகேஸ்வரி அம்மா அவர்களிடம் கையளித்து இது ஆங்கில அமர்வாக அமையும் என்பதையும் சபையோருக்கு நினைவுறுத்தி ஒரே ஒரு வேண்டுகோள் தான். சின்ன சிறார்கள் இருந்தார்கள், முடிந்தால் உங்களால் முடிந்தவரை இந்த நிகழ்வை, இந்த அமர்வை, இந்த மாநாட்டை பார்த்து மகிழ்ந்து உங்களுடைய அடுத்த தலைமுறையினர் இன்னும் சிறக்க நீங்கள் வழி சமைக்க வேண்டும் என்று சொல்லி இந்த அமர்வு தலைவரிடம் ஒப்படைத்து விடைபெறுகின்றேன். நன்றி.
Revered Satguru Bodhinatha Veylanswami, distinguished speakers and fellow Saivites. Good afternoon and welcome to the next session of the second day of our 25th Saiva conference. I am Mrs. Geeta Maheshwaran, Director for Religious Education, Culture and Communities at the Sri Ganpati Temple in Wimbledon, and I have the very great pleasure of chairing this session today. Our focus for the next hour or so will be speeches in English and spirituality here in the West. Before we begin, may I ask you all to take a brief moment to check that your mobile phones are switched to silent, so that there are no unnecessary interruptions to our listening and appreciation of the speakers. And I would respectfully ask that if you feel the need to chat whilst our delegates are speaking, please be respectful and leave the auditorium to talk outside. Thank you. I feel very blessed to introduce our first speaker, Satguru Bodhinatha Veylanswami. Satguru is the Guru Mahasannidham, spiritual head of the Kauai Adinam in Hawaii, USA, which houses 19 monks and a beautiful traditional granite temple dedicated to Lord Shiva. Satguru is the 163rd preceptor of the holy lineage of Kailasa Parampara, which has passed through great souls such as Siva Yogaswami and Sivaya Subramanya Swami. As a spiritual preceptor, Satguru personally guides the lives of initiated members from all around the world. Bringing Hinduism into the 21st century, Satguru and his monks work selflessly and tirelessly on a number of publications under the auspices of their international organization, the Himalayan Academy, including the foremost Hinduism magazine written in English, Hinduism Today. Satguru Bodhinatha Veylanswami's talk this afternoon will be on Bhakti in Tamil Saivism.
Swami and I are very pleased to be at this conference. We've been here before and we're very happy to have been invited back again by the stewards of the Federation. The talk is Bhakti and Tamil Saivism, and it's based on the fact that a number of years ago the Ramakrishna Mission in Chennai asked that we submit an article for the magazine Vedanta Kesari, which is an English publication. They asked that the article highlight the various aspects of the Saiva approach to Bhakti, its practices, and the teachings of the great Saiva Nayanars. So this talk is based on that article. It's a condensed version. Certainly the aspect of Bhakti and Tamil Saivism that will immediately come to the minds of many is the vast scriptural heritage of Tamil Saiva devotional songs that are sung regularly today in temples, concert halls, and homes, and our own competition today. As we know, the major text containing them is called Tirumurai and was compiled by Saint Nambi Yandar Nambi about 1000 AD. Of the 23 saints whose songs it contains, 4 are accepted as the most important, as we know, Sambandha, Attar, Sundarar, and Manika Vasagar. The works of these 4 are so central to Tamil Saivism that the renowned Saivite scholar Aramuga Navalar declared them to be the Tamil Vedas. So the Tamil has its own Vedas. So that's how he considered them. They're that important. His full quote is, in English, "What are the Tamil Vedas which inform the meaning as it is of the Yana part of the Vedas without being contrary to the Saiva Agamas? They are two, namely Devaram and Tiruvasagam. Who were the gracious authors of Devaram? They are three, namely Tiruyana Sambandar Nayanar, Tirunavakarastra Nayanar, Sundaramurti Nayanar. Who was the gracious author of Tiruvasagam? Manika Vasagar Swamiya. How are these four, starting with Tiruyana Sambandar Nayanar, called? They are called the Saiva Samaya Kuravan, Saiva religious preceptors. These hymns contain poetic descriptions of God Shiva, offer praise, sometimes describe his sanctum at a specific temple, offer advice on how his blessings can help us in life, and sometimes are related to an interesting story of how the song came about. For example, Tiruyana Sambandar Nayanar in his song, Kovalaru Patikam, says, by singing his Kovalaru Patikam verses and praying to God Shiva, the evil effects indicated by planets will be removed. Verse 1 in English reads, "One who has a woman with bamboo-like shoulders as part of his body, one with the throat stained by the poison he ate, and one who plays the veena faultlessly, wearing the blemishless moon and the Ganga river on his head. He has entered my heart, and because of this, for devout people like me, the forces like the sun, moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, and the snakes, Rahu and Ketu, will not do anything evil, but only good, the really good." A deeper understanding of Bhakti and Tamil Saivism can be grasped by looking at the philosophy on which Tamil Saivism is based, Saiva Siddhanta. The spiritual path that Saiva Siddhanta propounds consists of four progressive practices which are called the padas of Charya, Kriya, Yoga, and Jnana. These four padas have many similarities for the four yogas of Vedanta, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. However, there is one key difference. Whereas in Vedanta you can choose to follow just one of the yogas, in Siddhanta we need to pass through all four padas. A simple analogy will illustrate the difference. The goal is to walk across a shallow stream on a path of river rocks. Vedanta gives us four separate rock paths to choose from, one for each of the four yogas, all of which lead across the river. Siddhanta gives us only one path for crossing the river, which consists of four stones, Charya, Kriya, Yoga, and Jnana. An alternate name for Saiva Siddhanta is Nalupada Saivam, which the University of Madras Tamil Lexicon defines as the doctrine that the initiate should pass successively through Charya, Kriya, Yoga, and Jnana stages and thence obtain moksha. In Saiva Siddhanta, bhakti is not a separate pada, but rather is an integral part of all four padas. Said another way, progress on the Siddhanta path is one in which our love of God Shiva is constantly deepening as we become closer and closer to Him by advancing from one pada to the next. This deepening closeness is shown in the relationship of the soul to God Shiva. This relationship is called marga. In other words, each pada has its own marga. Charya, literally conduct, is the first pada of Siddhanta and the foundation for the next three. It is also called the Dasa Marga, meaning path of servitude, for here the soul relates to God as servant to master. Kriya, literally action or rite, is the second pada of Siddhanta. In Kriya, our sadhana, which was mostly external in Charya, is now also internal. Our relationship with God in Kriya is as a son to his parents. and thus this stage is called the Satputra Marga. Yoga, literally union, is the third pada of Siddhanta. It is the process of uniting with God within oneself, a stage arrived at through perfecting charya and kriya. As God is now like a friend to us, yoga is known as the Sakha Marga. Jnana, literally wisdom, is the fourth pada of Siddhanta. Jnana, which is the fruition of yoga tapas, is divine wisdom emanating from an enlightened being, the soul in its maturity immersed in Shivaness, the blessed realization of God, while living out earthly karma. It is also called the Sanmarga, or true path, in which God is our dearest beloved and which leads ultimately to an experience of identity. Tirumandaram, Book 10 of the Tirumrai, points out how as our bhakti deepens in each successive pada, we move closer and closer to God Shiva as a result. These deepening attainments are called patavi. Quote, in Charya, the soul forges a kindred tie in God's world, salokya. In Kriya, it attains nearness to Him, samipya. In Yoga, it attains likeness with Him, sarupya. In Jnana, the soul enjoys the ultimate bliss of identity with Shiva, sayujya. To comment on the explanation of the four padas as found in the Tirumandaram, the initial focal point for religious practice is the temple. My guru, Saiva Siddhanta, encouraged Saivites to attend a puja at least once a week. However, practice at the temple is not limited to attending the puja. Beyond that, devotees are encouraged to assist the priest by providing flowers, cleaning, etc. This naturally leads to a desire to deepen our practice by performing rather than simply attending puja. This is done, of course, in our home shrine, ideally on a daily basis. Other practices in the home shrine that supplemented are japa and scriptural study. To deepen our practice still further, internal worship and meditation can be taken up, which leads the rare few to the realization that Jiva is Shiva. This natural movement from one pada to another is elucidated in this Tirumandaram verse by showing the relationship of each to life, which in Tamil is Uyir. Being the life of life, Uyir Kuyir, is splendorous jnana worship. Beholding the light of life is great yoga worship. Giving life by invocation is external worship. Adoration that displaces anger is charya worship. A third approach to bhakti and Tamil Saivism is through the songs and writings of the great yogis in this tradition. Their approach is based on deep experiences in meditation and thus give us another view altogether. For example, this song by Saint Tayumanavar shows the attitude of bhakti is present in even his deepest meditative realizations. The song is entitled, Let Us in Meekness Worship. That which is non-dual, that which is the unique light of word, that which the scriptures loud proclaim, as the wisdom of wisdom, as the bliss that fills as the primal one, as the ancient one of tattva form, that which faith contend after, that which is sought to support, that which is permanent, that which is fullness, that which is without support, that which is our support, that which is peace, that which is the state of void, that which is eternal pure, that which is untouched by the materiality of the universe, that which is unaffected by events, that which is changeless, that which shines as impassive neutrality, that which is blemishless, that which is formless, that which is in thought, without thought cognizing it, that which is divine light effulgence, that which is uncreated, that which flourishes in the yana void, that God Supreme, let us in meekness worship. Second example shows that in the end, God Shiva, you and love are an inseparable unity. It is a letter written by Satguru Bodhinatha to a young man. I am with you, and you are with me. There is no distance between us. I am you. You are I. What is there to fear? Look, I exist as you. Then what must you do? You must love. Whom? Everyone. To speak more clearly, your very nature is love. Not only you, but all are pervaded by love. But there is no all, for you alone exist. All are you. There's a famous verse in the scripture, Tirumandaram, on this point that states, the ignorant foolishly say that love and Shiva are two, but none of them knows that love alone is Shiva. When men know that love and Shiva are the same, love as Shiva, they ever remain. Or a simpler way of expressing the oneness of Shiva and love is simply Anbe Shivam. Shiva is love. Thank you.
Thank you, Satguru, for that wonderful speech and for your presence and blessings for the conference in this landmark 25th year. Satguru Bodhinatha Veylanswami will be conducting day 2 of our parallel session in English shortly after this session finishes. It will be held in the smaller hall near the main entrance to the temple. So please encourage anyone over 12 years of age, young or old, whose main language is English, to please join us for a workshop that will deal with the theme Saiva literature and our way of life. Our next speaker is... So the next an additional item we've put in is that Satguru has brought a recent publication from the Kauai Ardinam, and he would, I'll ask him to say a few words about it. And we'll be calling the chairman of the Federation to accept the first copy, along with 6 of the other temples who are here today.
Thank you, Gita. Yes, this is a publication we just did. Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, a translation and Saiva Siddhanta commentary. So the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali is one of the most popular books on Hinduism in the English language. Might be second only to the Bhagavad Gita. I don't think anything is more popular in English than the Bhagavad Gita. But this is a very popular book, popular among youth who aren't Hindus. So we created a version that relates it to Saiva Siddhanta. That's what's unique about this. So you can see how what Patanjali is teaching in many ways is the same as the Saiva Siddhanta tradition. That's the purpose of the book. So we'd like to give it out to these individuals.
So may I first call Mr. Kanagasundaran on behalf, to receive the book on behalf of the Federation, but also of Highgate Hill Marine Temple. Could I ask for the chairman of the Sri Gayatri Temple representative to receive their book? The chair of London Sivan Coil. The Ealing Kanagadurgai Amman Koil, Mr. Yoganathan is here. Haro Siddhi Vinayaka Temple, Mr. Kumaradasan. On behalf of Saiva Siddhanta, Mr. Robin Mohan. And on behalf of Navadurga Yaman Temple, Mr. Vijay. We have one more book. Is there a representative from any of the other Federation temples? Our next speaker is Dr. Kumadan Sri Skandaraja. He is the Chief of Surgery and Head of Robotics at a London hospital, having done surgical research in machine learning at Imperial College London. He's also the Trust Lead from the South Thames Paediatric Network. On the faith side, his parents didn't want him to just be brilliant intellectually, but also spiritually. So they brought him to the temple from when he was a baby. He continued as a main volunteer at the temple with all our cultural programs, and is now bringing his children as well there, and is bringing them up in the true Saiva way. So without further ado, I would invite Dr. Kumadan Sri Skandaraja to give his talk.
Om Namah Shivaya. Revered Maha Sannidhanams Satguru Bodhinatha Veylanswami of the Kawai Adinam, and Sannyasin Shanmuganatha Swami, also of the Kawai Adinam. Tavatiru Santalinka Maradashka Adigal of the Peru Adinam. Tirukailasa Parambara Tarambupuram Adinam 27th Pontiff Srila Sri Masilamani Desika Nanya Sambandha Paramacharya Swamigal. Respected Kurukuls, Sivacharyas, distinguished scholars, honoured guests, dear devotees, and beloved members of our Saiva family. It is both a privilege and deeply a humbling honour to speak before you today as we celebrate the 25th Saiva Conference of the Federation of Saiva Hindu Temples UK. I've been tasked to reflect upon the first decade of London Saiva conferences, from preservation to legacy. On this auspicious occasion, I first bow at the holy feet of Sivan, seeking his boundless grace. As Saint Manikavasika reminds us, it is only through his grace that we are able to worship at his feet. Today is therefore not only a celebration of conferences, it is a celebration of the divine grace of Lord Shiva that has guided our community over the past quarter of a century. 28 years ago, in the summer of 1998, as a young second-generation Tamil-born brought up in the UK, I stood on the stage at the very first Saiva conference and delivered the first youth speech on Saivism in the West. The late beloved Mr. A.T.S. Ratnasingham Uncle, our founding chairman of the Federation, believed that our youth should not merely inherit Saivism, they should understand it, question it, and live it. His vision was extraordinary. Rather than waiting years for the Federation to mature, he recognized an urgent need to educate the next generation before assimilation, secularism, and cultural amnesia took hold. Today, I stand before you not as that young speaker, but as a practicing Saivite, which has given me the direction and holistic tools to become the chief of surgery of a London hospital, and a father whose children have benefited from past conferences through the learning of Thervarams and now grow within the Saiva tradition. That, perhaps, is one of the greatest fruits of these conferences. The first decade, from 1998 to 2007, represents far more than 10 annual gatherings. These conferences epitomise a sustained effort to persevere, interpret, and strengthen Saiva Siddhanta under the changing conditions of diasporic life in the West. They tell a story of a community asking one profound question: can Saivism flourish in the West without losing its soul? The answer given by our elders was clear. Saivism could never survive as merely a cultural memory. It had to become consciously understood, a philosophy, a lived spiritual discipline, and an enduring way of life. As Saint Tirumula declares in the Tirumandalam, Ambe Sivan, and we have heard this again and again today, love itself is Shiva. That timeless truth became the heartbeat of these conferences. In the earliest years, the primary focus was on preservation of Saivism. These conferences sought to safeguard doctrine, ritual practice, religious identity against the pressures of cultural assimilation. As the conferences developed, attention shifted towards institutionalization through educational programs, temple coordination, and structured methods of transmitting Saiva knowledge to younger generations. By the final years of the decade, the conferences had matured into a sophisticated intellectual platform that engaged global Saiva discourse, philosophy, and broader questions surrounding modern spirituality. The first decade, therefore, not only represents diasporic Saiva history, but also the emergence of a new diasporic mode of articulating Saiva Siddhanta in English, while remaining firmly rooted in classical Tamil language and tradition. The inaugural conference, under the theme Saivism in the West, established the vision of preservation. The presence at that first conference of the revered late pontiff Tavatiru Santalinga Ramaswami Adiva Peru Arvina reminded us that although we now live thousands of miles from our ancestral homeland, we remain firmly rooted in the ancient Guru Parambara of Saiva Siddhanta. The 7th, 8th, and 10th conferences in this first decade were blessed by the presence of the now 27th Guru Mahasannidhan of the Parambara Dharma Puram Arvina, Masalamaya Desika Jnana Sammata Paramachari Swamika. For many young people, myself included, meeting these spiritual giants was transformational. It is very fitting and poetic that we have the blessings of His Holiness Maradakshla Adigal, gracing us with his blessings 28 years on from his enlightened predecessor. At the earlier conferences, we did not simply hear learned lectures. We witnessed humility, we witnessed compassion, we witnessed living examples of Sivan. These encounters planted spiritual seeds that continue to bear fruit today. One of the greatest achievements of that first decade was that the conferences never separated bhakti from knowledge. They taught us that devotion without understanding may become fragile, but knowledge without devotion becomes empty. Saiva Siddhanta beautifully unites both. Early conferences spent considerable effort in the timeless teaching of Padi Pasupasam, reminding us that every soul's journey towards the union with the Lord Shiva is achieved by overcoming the bonds that limit us. Those teachings were not presented merely as ancient philosophy. They became a practical guidance for young people growing up amidst the challenges of Western society. As our children increasingly entered secular schools and universities, they naturally began to ask difficult questions. Why do we worship in temples? Why do we perform abhishekams? Why do we chant the Tirumalas? What makes Saiva Siddhanta unique? These conferences answered those questions with scholarship, confidence, and compassion. They demonstrated that Saivism is humanity's most profound philosophical and spiritual truth. The conferences also recognized that our temples are much more than places of worship. They are our universities, our cultural academies. They're our centers of language, music, ethics, and community life. And within their sacred walls, generations of youth have learned Tamil, Thevaram, Bharatanatyam, Pannisai, and above all, the values of the righteous way of living, Saiva Neri. One of the most visionary achievements of this period was the remarkable expansion of youth education. Thousands of children across the Federation-affiliated temples participated in Tirumari competitions, speech competitions, Pannisai, and Tamil learning in general. By committing to memory the sacred Thevarams of Thiruvannasambanada Appa Sundara and the sacred Thiruvastram of Saint Manikavastram, the youth received a spiritual treasure that no circumstance could ever take away. For this, we owe immeasurable debt of gratitude to Uncle Padma Mohan, our Audavas, Tamil school teachers, temple volunteers, parents, and Andrian organisers. Their service embodies the ideal expression in our tradition, Siva Thandu, service to Shiva through service to his people. The 5th Saiva Conference saw an emphasis on the publication of Saiva knowledge, which provided doctrinal clarity in both Tamil and English. The publication of scholarly works such as Insight and Research into Saivism, published for that 5th conference, represents an important dimension of the movement to preserve theological identity and to strengthen understanding of Saiva doctrine and literature. This tome incorporated articles from eminent professors and scholars on subjects ranging from the explanations of the Holy 12 Thirumaris, the 63 Nayanas, Saiva temples, and archaeology. Importantly, it also integrated articles from the youth. Particular mention should be made to the many articles in this book penned by the peerless scholar, the late Dr. T.M. Ramachandran. We are blessed to have these resources available in the English language on enlightened subjects such as the soul, according to Saint Meganda, and Rudra Pasupadinayana. These conference proceedings serve as a gift to future generations, and I implore them to receive the wisdom within. As the decade progressed, the conferences themselves matured. Their vision expanded beyond preservation towards engagement with the wider world and legacy. Subjects discussed such as Saiva symbolism, universal spirituality, reflected a confident community willing to enter intellectual dialogue while remaining firmly anchored in Saiva Siddhanta. Eminent scholars such as Dr. R. Lambodharan led the field in this respect. The pursuit of self-realization, the recognition of divine in all beings. Indeed, Lord Shiva belongs not to one nation, but to the entire universe. That universal spirit is beautifully captured in the Panchakshara mantra, Namah Shivaya. Just 5 sacred syllables, yet within them lies the entire path from bondage to liberation. Looking back today, it becomes clear that the first decade achieved something remarkable. It created not merely a conference, it created Saiva intellectual tradition in Britain. It united and unified temple practices and rituals. It connected Ardinams with the diaspora. It encouraged scholarship and countless youth programs. It strengthened our identity. As we now celebrate the 25th conference, our responsibility becomes even greater. The challenges facing our youth today are different from those of '98. They navigate artificial intelligence, social media, misinformation, consumerism, and unprecedented distractions. Yet, the answer remains unchanged. The eternal wisdom of Saiva Siddhanta continues to illuminate the path. Our duty is therefore not to simply preserve our tradition, it is to present it with clarity, authenticity, and relevance for every new generation. If we continue to combine devotion with knowledge, tradition with scholarship, and spirituality with compassionate service, the next 25 conferences will achieve even greater heights. As we look towards the next 25 years, our mission remains clear. Let our temples continue to be centres of worship and learning. Let our Tamil schools continue to nurture both language and faith, and look to integrate Saiva Siddhanta into the mainstream school religious educational curricula by lobbying the governments and educational institutions to incorporate them. Let our conferences continue to unite scholarship with devotion. Let us foster our young people to become future leaders and not merely inheritors of Saivism. They can become future teachers, university lecturers, temple trustees, and spiritual leaders. Let us create digital repositories and archives of Saiva poetry, mantras, scriptural teachings that can be translated and accessible via websites, apps, video formats, and social media, making them accessible beyond barriers and borders. If we can achieve that, then Saivas in the West will not merely continue, it will flourish. May Lord Shiva bless the Federation of Saiva Hindu Temples UK. May he bless every temple, every volunteer, every teacher, every parent, and every child. May his divine grace continue to guide this noble movement for generations to come. Namah Shivaya Valaka, Navantal Valaka, Saiva Siddhanta Valaka, Jayaditam Valaka.
Thank you, Dr. Pumadan Sri Skandaraja. As he mentioned, he was the first youth to speak at the very first conference, so it's only fitting that he should be a slightly older youth now, but giving his contribution and doing a brilliant summary of the first 10 years of our Saiva conferences. We now continue with Dr. Sasikala Rajamanoharan, whose professional journey began as a medical doctor, specializing in sexual health and HIV. Over time, a growing interest in holistic well-being led her to transition into the field of psychology and counseling. Today, she works with individuals and couples to navigate emotional, relational, and psychological challenges, supports them in English and in Tamil, and helps them to realize their fullest potential. On a faith front, she has been a treasured volunteer at the Kanakadurga Amman Temple. She's been the mother to many of the children who come there, teaching and sharing her knowledge of Saiva as well. She'll be talking on psychology and Sivan.
Respected Swamijis, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen, and if there are any children, Vanakkam everyone. I agreed to do this in English so that it can reach the younger generation, and there are actually quite a few, so that way I'm really pleased that I took this initiative. So you have heard all about Saiva literature, Saiva Siddhanta literature, and very complicated things about literature. I'm not someone who is an expert in that, but I'm someone who has interest in connecting our Saiva Siddhanta with psychology. So that's why I decided to do this presentation. So transformation means change, right? So that is what connects psychology with Saiva Siddhanta. I'm not really saying both of them are same, but there is a parallel there. So I'm drawing the Saiva Siddhanta philosophy with the psychology, two psychology theories to explain the connection. So to make sense, I will start with the basic Saiva Siddhanta philosophy. I know that all the elders here, you all know all about it, but I thought I'll just start with that first so that the younger generation can understand. So the basic eternal reality of Saiva Siddhanta, 3. So in the middle, we have got Pasu, right? So that is the individual soul. I'm sorry, you can come in the front. So I'm sorry that you may not be able to see the PowerPoint well, but pictures are worth 1,000 words. So that's why I insisted I'm going to use PowerPoint. So if you can't see it, obviously, it's not worth it. So please be free to come. So in the middle, we got the Pasu, so the individual soul, and then we got Lord Shiva, Shiva Lingam, and then we have got the pasam, right? So that's the rope we have. So the pasam is binding the individual soul to preventing the liberation. So in Saiva Siddhanta, so we have got these pasam 3, right? So Anavam, so that's the egoic impurity, and that is the root cause of the ignorance. So that is the problem actually for most of us. Even yesterday one of the speakers mentioned about it. This I feeling, that is what we don't really understand because we don't look into us. So with each action, we have to check whether we have got this I feeling, right? So that is the main thing. And then we have got this Kanmam. So Kanmam is the law of cause and effect, right? So our actions, our words, thoughts, all those things have got consequence. So that is what caused the birth and rebirths and things. So that is also binding us. And then we have got this Maya. So Maya is the material that gives us the body, mind, all these materialistic things. So that is also there. But that's not a bad thing because that gives us actually the opportunity for us to experience and to rectify whatever. So the beautiful thing I feel in Saiva Siddhanta is that the karma doesn't mean a bad thing. It is not the punishment. It is basically giving us the opportunity to experience and then to liberate ourselves. And then we have got the 4 parts. I mean, we have heard a lot about these 4 parts, so I'm not going to go into that detail. But I think for children, that the Sariya and Kiriya are most important. I think we all actually practice that, and that's how we manage to move into the Yoga and Jnana. So that's why I really want to focus on that. And also in psychology, I really want to connect mainly Sariya and Kiriya, right? So that's the service and worshipping. I mean, this morning, actually, a lot of speakers talked about all these bhakti and the connection. And so Jnana Sambandha had this maternal bonding. And then this upper actually expressed his emotions. Right? And then Sundara had this friendship. So medically, how I can look at that is like, the bonding actually secretes oxytocin, which is a hormone that actually connects and makes us happy, right? And expressing anything is very much important, right? So that, and also the other hormones, the happy hormones called serotonin, all these things actually get secreted when we have this connection, right? And then the service, again, the happiness. So now I just want to move on to the psychology side of it. So as I said, the transformation means changes. So in psychology, what is the change we are talking about is about the psychological growth. So we have got limitation because of some unconscious things in our mind. And coming out of that, overcoming that, and then growing into a higher status is what we are aiming in psychology. Whereas in Saiva Siddhanta, obviously we are having this spiritual journey to liberate ourselves from all these binding things and then attain union with Lord Shiva. So Saiva Siddhanta, liberation from ignorance, and then psychoanalysis is, in psychology, the main problem is the unconscious things. What is happening underneath in our mind is what causing lots of problems. So that is actually shown. I mean, this is Freud. He is the father of psychology. His theory. I will just go through it. So basically, you can see different layers of our mind. I'm sorry, you won't be able to see it. That's why I thought of putting it there, but then they won't be able to see. That's why we have to move. I'm so sorry about that. So basically what you're seeing is, this is an iceberg picture I'm showing here. So on the tip, the conscious, the things we are aware of. And then we have this pre-conscious thing that sort of comes to our mind immediately, like your phone number and stuff. And then underneath, we have got the unconscious thing. And then you have got three things. It's id, and then ego, and then superego. So id is our drives, desires, right? So that is the problem for us. So that is, you can see, mainly unconscious. That's what drives all our emotions and things. And then we have the superego. You can take it superego like God, right? What means is the moral principles, that what we are expected to do, the ideal things we are expected to do. So that's a superego. So some superego is in unconscious, so pre-conscious state, and then the conscious state. And then ego. So ego in Saiva Siddhanta basically means anava. But here, this ego is different. So ego is our individual selves. So the ego always tries to control the desires and the drives and try to reach superego. So that is, that's what, that's the struggle you'll go through. So in psychotherapy or psychoanalysis, what we are doing is actually we are trying to strengthen the ego by learning to understand or make us aware of the unconscious things happening in ourselves and then liberate ourselves from that. So I have given explanation there. So it basically means that the instincts, our primitive instincts like hunger, like anger, all those things, right? And then the unconscious desires and immediate gratification, right? I was just thinking last night, I woke up at 2 o'clock because my husband had a nightmare. So he really screamed, and that's it. And then I couldn't sleep. So from 2 o'clock, I didn't really sleep. So I was really angry, and then I was thinking, what can he do? But inside, time to time, I couldn't sleep, and then I could see that anger accumulating. I can't get up and do anything because I don't want to disturb him because it will obviously affect our driving. He's the one going to drive. So that is an example. So we try to control it, but then sometimes we may not be able to. So a Freud theory is basically about psychological growth. So strengthening ego's capacity for self-regulation. So that's what I was trying to do last night. So try to regulate my emotion. But that we have to be aware of our emotion. So that is the problem I find with my Tamil clients. They will be really angry, but outside they will say, no, I'm fine. They won't show it. So first we need to understand our emotions. For that, we have to observe what's happening in our body. So I was just thinking, I always think, so I did a project and I actually presented this to Western colleagues. So what I thought was, our temple structure beautifully connects with Freud's theory. So you could see that Palipudam, the altar, and then you have the Pasu, and then you have God, right? So you could really think it that way, although it's not exactly the same. And then this other person called Jung, he is another important person. He was involved with a lot of spiritual things as well. He expanded it further and he said this self-awareness is what we need to work on, because unconscious things are the problem. That's why we have several faces. We don't show our true self. We have got different false selves. So we need to understand what are the false selves we have, and once we start to understand and integrate these unconscious things with conscious things, then you have the growth. Now I just want to move on to give an example, a case I saw in the school. So this is a child, a 9-year-old child, and this child's parents were separated, and she has 2 siblings. Elder one has autism, and the youngest one has got autism. So this girl moved to a new school, and she suffered with anxiety problem, and she couldn't make any friends, so that's why she was referred. So when I saw her, she just smiled, I'm fine. She wouldn't really say her problem. But she doesn't like to connect to me. So as soon as she walked into the room, she started playing with the puppet, and there was a dollhouse as well. And she was actually playing on her own. So I had to work hard with her to connect with her. And the dollhouse and the puppet are the 2 important things she used. Why I'm taking that? That is the symbolic thing. That's what we are doing in the temple. So all these ritual things can be taken as symbolic things. What is the use of this symbolic thing is that when she was playing in the dollhouse, what I noticed was husband and wife were fighting, and then the husband is getting out of the house. And then she put the baby in the oven. There was a baby, and she put the baby in the oven, and then she will take it out and care for the baby, give feed. And then there was an old person who died, had a heart attack and died. And then with the puppet, she will aggressively hit, and then she will look after the puppet. So this conflicting thing actually said me something. And then I obviously worked it out, because she has these 2 siblings, and she doesn't have anybody to talk to. So she was suffering with loneliness. So she likes her sibling, but at the same time, those siblings were given priority because of the problem, and she wasn't given. So she wanted attention. So that is what I saw. And so the initial presentations, she, sorry, I just have to connect. So the underlying belief she had was, I am special, right? She wanted people to recognize that. And then if we connect this to Saiva Siddhanta now, yes, sorry. I think before that, there should be one thing. Before that. Yeah. So I thought I will connect this to Saiva Siddhanta 3 malas, right? Anavam, Kanvam, Maya. So Anavam, obviously she thought I'm special, right? And she also, she always wanted recognition. She wanted people to praise her. And then with Kanvam, in psychology, we say early life experience can decide their behavior. So her mom actually tried several suicide attempts as well. So that fear is there for her. So that some of her behavior was due to that. And then in Saiva Siddhanta, as I said, obviously because of her previous birth, according to our belief, she may be experiencing all these things. But then that is giving her an opportunity to liberate her. That's how we need to look at. And then the Maya, obviously, she doesn't know that inside she has got so much fear, and she is hiding that, and she is just saying, I'm fine. But when I was working, obviously initially there was a distance. But then we had a very close relationship. And that's when I found out that her younger brother actually had fits. When he was one, he was nearly dying. And how much she likes her brother, but she can't talk. So, and then, towards the end, I actually asked her to draw her emotional feelings at that time. And that can beautifully actually show you how this symbolic, this play therapy worked with her. So just leave the tree on this side. So what she has drawn is the dollhouse, and then the puppet actually on the table, and then Sasi, myself, on that side. So they were the important things for her improvement. So at the end of the therapy, she actually understood her conflicting behavior, and she became less anxious. And when I left the school, she gave me a thank you card thanking me to help her to get rid of her anxiety. So I'm coming to the end now. So spiritual practices and neuroscience and modern society, a few words. So obviously in the past we had Sarye, Kriye, we were able to practice those in the temple. But with the modern society, how can we do that? All this Saiva literature offers rich guidance on 4 spiritual paths, and how can we apply this? So these are the suggestions. So modern society, obviously we were able to witness this beautiful singing from these children, right? How the singing can definitely help with their psychological state. So when we sing, basically there's a nerve called vagal nerve we have. It starts from our brain, and it actually supplies every organ in our body. And we are actually stimulating that vagal nerve. So when the vagal nerve is stimulated, we calm ourselves. So obviously, if someone is traumatized, the first thing they need to have is they have to calm themselves. Then only they can move on to yoga and jnanam. So that is the problem we are seeing. We are focusing mainly on rituals, but we are not really understanding how that needs to be done properly. Right? So, and then mindfulness practices. Now this is a trend, and everyone talks about mindfulness, grounding techniques, all those things. That again, that will help them to calm. When we are actually in a calm situation, then, as I said, these good hormones, serotonin, all these things goes up and help us. And then service. Obviously, that is the main thing. That's what we are seeing in all the temples. And I mean, I know I'm coming from Evening Temple, and during their festival, we can see the children's the motivation to do service. And when we do service, when we connect to people, again, as I said, it's oxytocin, serotonin, all these things. Even dopamine goes up as well, and that helps. So the creative expression. I know Geeta is very good in that things, coming up with beautiful ideas for the artistic ideas to bring children to temple. So that's what we need to do. Actually, we need to come up with creative ideas where it can connect to the spirituality. And obviously, modeling is the most important thing. Even if we don't see our children doing the things, but if we practice, then eventually it will come. I think that's what I saw in my family. So, and therefore, I will encourage all the parents and grandparents to do that. Obviously, not everybody can do these things from their parents and themselves. And in those cases, always getting some help from psychotherapists can help. So in conclusion, Saiva Siddhanta and psychology share a common goal. The transformation and the individual from limitation towards greater awareness and freedom. So psychological growth through self-awareness, emotional regulation, secure relationship, and compassion creates a strong foundation for spiritual growth. So for spiritual growth to happen, I feel that we have to prepare them to have good psychological health. So that is what, that's the message I want to say. So psychological healing prepares the mind, spiritual practice transforms the soul. Together, they provide a holistic path towards inner freedom, ultimately towards union with Lord Shiva. Thank you so much for the Federation of Saiva Temples to give me the opportunity, and I would like to particularly thank Dr. Maheshwar and Geeta Maheshwar. They have always very supportive for my initiative. From the time it started on the first day of the first conference, I was on the stage with my husband, and since then I arranged a lot of debates for youths actually as well. So we did our best to encourage the youths to come in. And I have to thank my husband, who is the teacher for me on Saiva Siddhanta, and also to organize this difficult thing today as well. Thank you very much, everyone.
So one of the grandchildren are here to cheer her on as well. So thank you, Dr. Sasikala Rajamanoharan, for that wonderful talk, blending the aspects of psychology with our wonderful Saiva Siddhanta heritage. I learned that Dr. Rajamanoharan had recently given a talk on grief across cultures, examining Tamil bereavement culture through Julia Samuel's 8 Pillars of Grief. And she flew to Thailand to present this as an international conference. She very kindly shared her PowerPoint slides with me, and I thought it would be a wonderful basis for the setting up of Hindu chaplaincy in all our temples. So I haven't talked to her about this yet, but I just felt it would be a great topic to talk about next year for the Saiva conference. So I'm just putting it out there to ask her to talk about grief counselling and the way that we can train our volunteers to become Hindu chaplains in their local hospitals. So I thank you very much for that. We've come to the end of our session of English speeches. I want to thank you all for listening so attentively and supporting all the speakers who have been here today. We are, I think, now going for a tea break. I will ask the compere to clarify that. For those who are joining us at the parallel session workshop, which is at the front of the temple in the small hall, we have refreshments there, so you don't need to wait here. You can follow Satguru and Shanmugha Swami with all of us as we go towards the small hall. Just a little thing for the two speakers, for Dr. Rajamanoharan and Dr. Sri Skandaraja. They both wrote articles on these very same topics in the Saiva Souvenir. So please take some time to find out further details of the topics that they have covered. And also, in reference to a segue into Kumran Sri Skandaraja's talk yesterday on the effects of AI, we want to show you the booklet that has been produced for Sadhguru's workshops, which was generated, all the images were generated through AI and through one very dedicated devotee of Sadhguru's. And I just wanted to show you that AI can do good things as well. There is beautiful pictures here. This is the one of Tirunyana Sambandar, which I think will become a classic for all of us to use because he's so cute in this. So there's beautiful pictures. So if you would like to have one of the books, please do join us for the workshop. That's going to be starting now. Oh, do you have a question, my love? No? We'll talk afterwards. Thank you so much for your attention.
தில்லை வாழந்தனர்த்தம் அடியார்க்கும் அடியே திருநீல கண்டத்து குயவனார்க்கு அடியே இல்லையே என்னாத இயற்பகைக்கும் அடியேன் இளையாந்தன் குடிமாறன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் வெல்லுமா மிக வல்லமை பொருளுக்கடியேன் விரி பொழில் சூழ்குன்றையார் விரல் மிண்டற்கடியேன் அல்லிமென் முல்லை அந்தரமர் நீதிக்கடியேன் ஆரூரன் ஆரூரில் அம்மனுக்கு ஆளே
பட்கு அடியேன் ஏனாதிநாதன் தன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் கலை மலிந்த சீர் நம்பி கண்ணப்பர்க்கு அடியேன் கடவுரில் கலையன் தன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் மலை மலிந்த தோள் வள்ளல் மானக்கஞ்சாரன் எஞ்சாத வாழ்த்தாயன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் அலை மலிந்த புனல் மங்கையான எட்கு அடியேன் ஆரூரன் ஆரூரில் அம்மனுக்கு
மும்மையால் உலகு ஆண்ட மூர்த்திக்கும் அடியேன் முருகனுக்கும் உருத்திர பசுபதிக்கும் அடியேன் செம்மையே திருநாளை போவார்க்கும் அடியேன் திருக்குறிப்பு தொண்டர்தம் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் மெய்மையே திருமேனி வழிபடா நிற்க வெகுண்டு எழுந்த தாதை தாழ் மழுவினால் எரிந்த அம்மையானடி சண்டி பெருமானுக்கு அடியேன் வண்டு மணம் நார மலரும் மதுமலர் நல் கொன்றையான் அடியாலால் பேணா எம்பிரான் சம்பந்தன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் ஏயர்கோன் கலிக்காமன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் நம்பிரான் திருமூலன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் ஆட்டமிகு தண்டிக்கும் ஊர்க்கற்கும் அடியேன் நம்பரான் சோமாசி மாறனுக்கும் அடியேன்
அம்மனுக்கு ஆளே தில்லை வாழந்தனர்த்தம் அடியர்க்கு அடியேன் திருநீல கண்டத்து குயவனார்க்கு அடியேன் இயற்பகைக்கும் அடியேன் இளையாந்தன் குடிமாறன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் வெல்லுமா மிக வல்லமை பொருளுக்கடியேன் விரிபொள் சூழ்குன்றையார் விரல் மிண்டற்கு அடியேன் அல்லிமென் முல்லை அந்தரமர் நீதிக்கு அடியேன்
ஆரூரன் ஆரூரில் அம்மனுக்கு ஆளே மதுமலர் நல் கொன்றையான் அடியலால் பேனா எம்பிரான் சம்பந்தன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் ஏர்கோன் கலிக்காமன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் நம்பிரான் திருமூலன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் நாட்டம் மிகு தண்டிக்கும் ஊர்க்கட்கும் அடியேன் அம்பரான் சோமாசி மாறனுக்கும் அடியேன் ஆரூரன் ஆரூரில் அம்மனுக்கு ஆளே
கொண்டே
எம்பிரான் சம்பந்தன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் ஏற்கோன் கலிக்காமன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் நம்பிரான் திருமூலன் அடியார்க்கும் அடியேன் நாட்டம் மிகு தண்டிக்கும் ஊர்கட்கும் அடியேன் அம்பரான் சோமாசி மாறனுக்கும் அடியேன் ஆரூரன் ஆரூரில் அம்மனுக்கு ஆளே Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Har Har Bole Namah Shivaya, Shivaya Namah, Shivaya Namah, Arulale Yammai Kaapai Shiva. Namah Shivaya, Namah Shivaya, Nadane Paramane Namah.
Otherwise they will knock the camera on. Thank you. Or you can sit in the front. Otherwise the people will start knocking the camera on. That would have way off. mosque. Don't block the way.
This is part 2. There's no continuity with yesterday, so if you didn't attend yesterday, you don't have any missing knowledge. These are all new topics, independent of the topics we looked at yesterday. So we're following the conference idea, and we're taking selected. We've just chosen a few selected way of life topics based on Saiva literature. And we try to choose topics that are a bit different from each other. That's the goal. And we're integrating Tamil. So Udiwa will survive the Tamil on the number of 400 slides. So, invocation to Lord Ganesha. As we mentioned yesterday, a well-established tradition and our way of life is to worship Lord Ganesha before beginning any important, I use the word important task, to enhance its success. The scripture Tirumandaram has the popular Ganesha invocation, the Naradas Apti, and that's our first Tamil.
கரத்தனை யானை முகத்தனை இந்தின் இளம் பிறை போலும் ஏற்றனை நந்தி மகனை யான கொழுந்தினை உந்தியில் வைத்தடி
And the English, he who has 5 hands and the elephant's face, whose tusk is even as the crescent moon, the son of Nandi, the flower of wisdom, him I cherish and thought his feet adore. So this is the space for any welcoming address.
Namah Shivaya. On behalf of the UK Federation of Saiva Hindu Temples and also as a Shishya of Satguru, it gives me great honour and privilege to welcome a revered spiritual leader, teacher, and a guardian of our Saiva Siddhanta tradition, Satguru Bodhinatha Veylanswami, the 163rd spiritual preceptor of the auspicious Kailasa Parampara, and also the spiritual head of Kauai Ardhinam, or Kauai Hindu Monastery in Hawaii. Today is especially significant because Satguru is not simply giving us a talk. He's leading us through a workshop, inviting us to deepen our understanding of Saivism and to strengthen its living practice in our homes, temples and communities. There is a beautiful historical connection between London and Kauai. In 1973, two remarkable events unfolded on opposite sides of the world. Here in London, the sacred Murti of Thiruchendur Murugan first arrived, inspiring what would become the flourishing network of Saiva temples that we see today across the UK, and including the formation of the Federation. That same year, thousands of miles away, Satguru Saiva Subrahmanyaswami, affectionately known as Gurudeva, established Kauai Ardhinam, planting yet another seed that would grow to become one of the world's foremost centres of traditional Saiva Siddhanta, monastic life and Hindu education. These two beginnings in London and Kauai have quietly shaped generations of devotees and strengthened the global Saiva community through teachings and also publications such as Hinduism Today. Satguru Bodhinatha Veylanswami has continued that vision with extraordinary dedication. He oversees the monastery, guides devotees personally across the world, and serves as the publisher of Hinduism Today, a magazine that has been documented and celebrated, a celebration of Hindu life globally, including the remarkable story of the London Saiva temples and the devotion of our own community here in the UK. Throughout his life, Satguru has emphasized that Saivism is not only something that we inherit, it is something we consciously live every day through worship, self-discipline, service, meditation, and love for God. We're deeply grateful that he's travelled from Kauai to be with us today, and we thank him for sharing his wisdom, guidance, blessings with the Saiva community here in the UK. During the workshop, we will be passing around post-it notes for questions. So please can I ask Andrew just to identify yourself? So Andrew will be coming round to request questions on post-it notes. So please do feel free to post any questions. It's a very precious opportunity to ask them directly to Satguru. With the greatest respect and warm affection, please join me in welcoming Satguru Bodhinatha Veylanswami. Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you, Ramai. So our first topic is Vedas and Agamas. And we covered them yesterday, but today we're looking at specific verses from the Tirumandaram. Should this be a little closer? And the greatness of the Vedas and Agamas as expressed in the Tirumandaram. That's a little better. Sounds better to me. And also, as we mentioned yesterday, in terms of relating this to ways of life, attending pujas and other ceremonies at temples is an important part of our way of life. The Vedas and Agamas are the basis for those ceremonies and thus play a crucial role in our way of life. So all the details of the temple ceremonies, and for example, we have Kumbhabhishekams taking place today at other temples in London. All those details, where do we find them? We find them in the Agamas. And then the Vedas also provide additional chants. So the ceremonies totally are dependent upon the scriptures, Vedas, and Agamas. So we're going to look at some verses. Each one will do the Tamil, then we'll do the English, on the greatness of the Vedas. Tirumandaram, verse 51 in Tamil.
வேதத்தை விட்ட அறம்பில்லை வேதத்தில் ஓதத்தகும் அறம் எல்லாம் உளதற்க வாதத்தை விட்டு மதிஞர் வளமுற்ற வேதத்தை ஓதியே வீடு பெற்றார்களே.
In English, no Dharma is, barring what the Vedas say. A central core the Vedas proclaim, and the wise ones cease contentious brawls, intone the lofty strains, and freedom's battle won. I'm on to numbers 52 in Tamil.
வேதம் உரைத்தாலும் வேதியன் ஆகிலன் வேதம் உரைத்தாலும் வேதா விளங்கிட வேதம் உரைத்தாலும் வேதியர் வேள்விக்கா வேதம் உரைத்தாலும் மெய்ப்பொருள் காட்டவே.
English. Brahma spoke the Vedas, but himself not the goal supreme. He spoke the Vedas only the great maker to reveal. He spoke them for the holy sacrifices to perform. He spoke them, the true one, to manifest. Verse 53 in Tamil.
இருக்குருவாம் எழில் வேதத்தின் உள்ளே உருக்குணர்வாயுணர் வேதத்துள் ஓங்கி வெறுக்குருவாகிய வேதியர் சொல்லும் கருக்குருவாய் நின்ற கண்ணனும் ஆமே.
English, in the beauteous Veda, amply named the rig. As the moving mood behind he stood. In the trembling chant of the Vedic priests he stood, himself the eye of vision central. Verse 54 in Tamil.
திருநெறியாவது சித்த சித்தந்தி பெருநெறியாய பிரானை நினைந்து குரு நெறியாம் சிவமானெறி கூடும் ஒரு நெறி ஒன்றாக வேதாந்தம் ஓதுவே.
The holy path, Tiruneri, is taught, but the path supreme, who muse on the Lord himself, the path supreme, as material immaterial, as Guru divine, they reach Shiva's pure path, so Vedantas all declare. And verse 55 in Tamil.
அரங்கமாய் வரும் அம்மரை ஓதியை கூரங்கமாக குணம் பயில்வாரில்லை வேரங்கமாக விளைவு சதிதப்புறம் பேரங்கமாக பெருக்குகின்றாரே.
one who yet imparts the visible does not be. As divided parts they swarm into their ken, then upgathered and swelled into the pattern whole. Verse 56 in Dharma.
பாட்டும் ஒலியும் பறக்கும் கணிகையர் ஆட்டும் வராத அவனியின் மாட்டாதார் வெட்டு விருப்பார் விரதமில்லாதவர் இட்டும் இடம் சென்று இகலுற்றாரே.
Uncaught in the world's web of women's song and dance, such alone seek the holy sacrifice to perform. But the unpracticed in austerities do but reach desires of old, misery to find. Then we have a few on the agamas, starting with verse 57, the Dharma.
அஞ்சனமேனி அறிவையோர் பாகத்தன் அஞ்சோடிருபத்து மூன்றுள ஆகமம் அஞ்சலி கூப்பி அறுபத்து அறுவரும் அஞ்சாமுகத்தில் அரும்பொருள் கேட்டதே.
And in English, just one comment. In this context, the word aga means the Saiva agamas. It's not talking about any other agamas. There's 28 Saiva agamas. The Lord that consorts the blue-hued one, as the agamas 25 and 3, bowing low, the 6 and 60 sought, the 5-faced one, the agamas deep import to expound. Verse 58 in Dharma.
அண்ணல் அருளால் அருளும் சிவாகமம் எண்ணில் 27 கோடி 100,000 விண்ணவர் ஈசன் விழுப்பம் உரைத்தனர் எண்ணி நின்ற பொருள் ஏத்துவன் தானே.
The Shivagamas, the Lord by grace revealed, in number 1,000,000,028. In them the celestials, the Lord's greatness glory, him I too shall muse and praise. And verse 59 in Dharma.
பண்டிதர் ஆவார் 18 பாடையும் கண்டவர் கூறும் கருத்தறிவளர்ந்த பண்டிதர் தங்கள் 18 பாடையும் அண்ட முதலான் சொன்னவாரே.
English, in 18 various tongues they speak, the thoughts which pundits alone know. The pundits' tongues, numbering 10 and 8, are but what the primal Lord declared. And verse 60 in Dharma.
அண்ணல் அருளால் அருளும் திவ்யாகமம் வெண்ணில் அமரர் தமக்கும் விளங்கரிது எண்ணில் 70 கோடி 100,000 எண்ணிலும் நீர்மேல் எடுத்தது ஆகுமே.
And the English, the agamas the Lord by grace revealed, deep and baffling even to the gods in heaven. 70 billion millions though they be, like riding on the waters, eluding grasp. And verse 61 in Dharma.
பரனாய் பராபரம் காட்டி உலகில் தரனாய் சிவதன்மம் தானே சொல் காலத்து அரணாய் அமரர்கள் அத்திக்கும் தந்து உரனாகி ஆகமம் ஓங்கி நின்றானே.
English, the infinite revealing the infinite vast, came down to earth, Shiva's Dharma to proclaim. The immortals then him as Nandi adored, and he stood forth the agamas articulating. And verse 62 in Dharma.
சிவமாம் பரத்தினில் சக்தி சதா சிவம் உவமாமகேதர் உருத்திர தேவர் தவமால் பிரமீதர் தம்மில் தாம் பெற்ற நவஆகமம் எங்கள் நந்தி பெற்றானே.
From Shiva the infinite to Shakti and Sadashiva, through Maheshwara the joyous, to Rudra Dev, from Isa, and so in succession unto himself, from himself, the 9 agamas are Nandi begot. Verse 63.
பெற்றனல் ஆகமம் காரணம் காமிகம் உற்றனல் வீரம் உயர் சிந்தம் வாதுளம் மற்றவியாமளம் ஆகும் மகாலோத்தம் சொல்லும் மகுடமே.
Agamas so received are Karanam, Kamikam, Viram good, Sindam high, Vadulam, Yamalam, the other, and Kaloktaram, the Subram pure, and Makuntam to crown. Verse 64 in Tamil.
அண்ணல் அருளா அருளும் சிவாகமம் எண்ணிலி கோடி தொகுத்திடுமாயினும் அண்ணல் அறைந்த அறிவறியாவிடில் எண்ணிலி கோடி உங்கிமல் எழுத்தே.
English. Numberless the Saiva agamas composed, the Lord by his grace revealed, yet we know not the wisdom he taught, like riding on water the unnumbered stream. And verse 65 in Tamil.
மாரியும் கோடையும் வார்பனி தூங்க நின்று ஏரியும் நின்றங்கு இழைக்கின்ற காலத்து ஆரியமும் தமிழும் உடனே சொல்லி காரிகையாக்கு கருணை செய்தானே.
English, devoid alike of rain and summer's gift of dew, even the flashing lake had lost its vernal bloom. Then did he in Sanskrit and Tamil at once reveal the rich treasure of his compassion to Our Lady Great. And verse 66 in Tamil.
அவிழ்கின்றவாறும் அது கட்டுமாறும் சிமிழ்த்தலை பட்டுயிர் போகின்றவாறும் தமிழ் சொல்வட சொல் எனும் இவ்விரண்டும் உணர்த்தும் அவரை உணரலுமாமே.
Life takes its birth, stands preserved a while, and then its departure takes. Caught in the momentary wave of flux, him we glimpse, the Lord who in Tamil sweet and northern tongue life's mystery reveals. So that gives us a sense of what you find in Tirumandara, which is in Tirumurai, about the Vedas and the Agamas. It's not commonly known, and I thought it would be interesting to hear it and see what it translates into English. So again, the point is, the ceremonies in the temples, the building of the temples, the consecration of the temples, it's all found in the Saiva Agamas. The pujas themselves are a combination of the chants in the Saiva Agamas plus the chants from the Vedas. So that's where the Vedas come in, and the actual chants used during certain ceremonies. So moving on to something simpler. Pastor Shiva, we introduced Pastor Shiva yesterday. I'll just do something quick. It's a book we wrote. It's available online. It gives all the basics of Saiva Siddhanta in a very practical way. It's available at HimalayanAcademy.com. You can look at it online or download it for free. We also have printed versions. This is from Pastor Shiva, lesson 40. What is our code of conduct? The yamas and niyamas are a basic Saiva code of conduct. They are found in Arumuganavalar's Saiva Vinavida, Book 2. So we introduced Arumuganavalar yesterday. We'll say something again for those who weren't here. He's a scholar who lived in Jaffna at the time the British were there and involved in proselytizing Christianity. And he wrote 2 books, Saiva Vinavida Book 1, which is for younger children, and Saiva Vinavida Book 2, which is for older children. So Vinavida means questions and answers. And he brings in the yamas and niyamas, says they should be performed by persons who have received Siva Diksha, which is the same as Samya Diksha. So that's a formal initiation. So when you're initiated in the basic Saiva way by a guru, or some priests also offer basic Saiva initiation, one of the principles you're supposed to uphold is following the yamas and niyamas. So that's why they're important. Besides being an Arumuganavalar's Saiva Vinavida, they're in the Tirumandara and some of the Upanishads. Different scriptures give slightly different lists. The Tirumandara describes the yamas and niyamas in 5 verses. And here is the Tamil on Yama Niyama.
எழுந்து நீர் பொய்வினும் 8 திசையும் செழும் கண்ணிக மங்கள் செய்மினன்றல் கொழுந்தல் பவள குளிர் சடையோடு அழுந்திய நால்வர்க்கு அருள் புரிந்தானே.
The heavens may torrents pour in directions 8, yet perform the holy niyamas. Thus spake the Lord of matted locks, cool and coral hued, to the sages 4 in devotion immersed. And we get the next verse in common.
கொல்லான் பொய் கூறான் களவிலான் என் கூணன் நல்லான் அடக்கம் உடையான் நடுத்தைய வல்லான் பகுத்துண்பான் மாதிலான் கட்காமம் இல்லான் இயமத்து இடையில் நின்றானே.
And the English, he does not kill, he does not lie, he does not steal. Of marked virtues is he, good, meek, and just. Shares the joys, he knows no blemish, neither drinks nor lusts. Thus the man who in Yama's ways stands. And the next verse in common.
ஆதிகை வேதத்தில் அப்பொருளானை சோதியை அங்கே சுடுகின்ற அங்கியை பாதியுள் மண்ணும் பராசக்தியோடுடன் நீதி உணர்ந்து நியமத்தனாமே.
The being first, the meaning central of Vedas all, the light divine, the fire within that light, he who shares himself half and half with his Shakti, and the divine justice thereof, them he in Niyama's path knows. Another verse in common.
தூய்மை அருளும் சுருக்கம் பொறை செல்வை வாய்மை நிலைமை வரைத்தரே மற்றிவை காமம் களவு கொலை எனக் காண்பவை நேமியிறைந்தும் நியமத்தனாமே.
Purity, compassion, frugal food, and patience, forthrightness, truth, and steadiness. These he ardently cherishes, killing, stealing, and lusting he abhors. Thus stands with virtues 10, the one who Niyama's ways observes. One more Sanskrit.
தவம் செவம் சந்தோடம் ஆத்திகம் தானம் சிவந்தன் விரதமே சித்தாந்த கேள்வி மகம் சிவ பூசை உள் மதி சொல் ஈரைந்து தெய்வம் பல செய்மின் நியமத்தனாமே.
Tapas, meditation, serenity and holiness, charity, vows and Saiva way, and Siddhanta, learning, sacrifice, Shiva puja, and thoughts pure. With these 10, the one in Niyama perfects his way. So, material from our own book, which draws on all of that and puts it in an easy format. Eating the 10 yamas or restraints keeps our instinctive nature in check. Abiding by the 10 niyamas or observances makes us more religious and cultured revealing our refined soul qualities. So we're supposed to learn the yamas first, and when we're pretty good at those, then we can start practicing the niyamas. So the yamas focus on controlling the instincts, and the niyamas focus on making us more religious. So we'll go through them quickly here. Each has a very simple drawing. As you would expect, first restraint. Who can guess what the first restraint would be? Killing, yes. That's
Butchering cows.
Good. Killing, butchering cows, yes. In Sanskrit, it's called ahimsa, and normally means non-violence. Normally when you think of violence, you think of something physical happening, such as killing or hurting someone. But it's more subtle than that. It says you should not even hurt someone with your words or even your thoughts. So, thought, word, and deed. Non-violence in thought, word, and deed is the idea of ahimsa. Satya, truthfulness. Speak only what is true, kind, helpful, and necessary. Be true to your promises. Don't keep secrets from family or friends. Be accurate and frank in your discussions. Don't deceive others. Admit your failings. Do not gossip, backbite, or tell lies. Number 3, asteya, non-stealing. Do not steal. Control your desires and live within your family's means. Do not desire what others possess. Do not misuse things you borrow. Do not gamble or fail to repay debts. Do not use others' names, words, resources, or rights without permission and acknowledgement. Brahmacharya, divine conduct. Control your desires when single, reserving sexual relations for marriage. Shama, patience. Restrain intolerance with people and impatience with circumstances. Be agreeable and unhurried. Vritti, steadfastness. Overcome fear, indecision, and changeableness. Stick to what you are supposed to do without getting sidetracked. Be firm in your decisions. Compassion. Conquer cruel and insensitive feelings toward all beings. See God everywhere. Be kind to people, animals, plants, and the earth itself. Arjava, honesty. Give up deception and wrongdoing. Obey the laws of your nation and community. Do not bribe or accept bribes. Do not cheat or deceive others. So the honesty and truthfulness are tied together. It's an important point. Honesty relates to what you do. So if you cheat on a test, that's being dishonest. But if you cheat, quite often you have to lie to cover it up. So that's untruthfulness. Okay, that's good. Mitahara, moderate appetite. Do not eat too much. Do not eat meat, fish, shellfish, fowl, or eggs. Enjoy fresh, wholesome vegetarian foods that vitalize the body. Saucha, purity. Avoid impurity in mind, body, and speech. Maintain a clean, healthy body. Keep a pure, uncluttered home and workplace. Keep good company. So those are the restraints. That's what we're doing to control our instinctive nature. Then when we're doing those fairly well, we can move on to the niyamas, which are the religious observances, which are more subtle. So first one, hari, remorse. Be modest and show shame for misdeeds. Recognize your errors, confess, apologize, and make amends. Santosha, contentment. Seek joy and serenity in life. Be happy, smile, and uplift others. Live in gratitude for your health, friends, and belonging. Dana, giving. Tithe and donate to temples, ashrams, and spiritual organizations. Feed and give to those in need. Freely share your time and talents. Treat guests as God, which means offer hospitality. Astikya, faith. Believe firmly in God, God's Guru, and your path to enlightenment. Trust in the scriptures and traditions. Be loyal to your lineage, one with your Satguru. Ishvara Pujana, worship of the Lord. Worship and meditate daily. Offer fruit, flowers, or food daily at the home shrine. Learn a simple puja. Visit the shrine when leaving home and returning. Siddhanta Shravana, scriptural listening. Study the teachings and listen to the wise of your lineage. Carefully choose a guru, then follow his path, and don't waste time exploring other ways. Listen to readings and inspired talks by which wisdom flows from knower to seeker. Mati, cognition. Develop a spiritual will and intellect with your Satguru's guidance. Strive for knowledge of God to awaken the light within. Seek the lesson in each experience to understand life and yourself. Cultivate intuition through meditation. Rapta. Sacred vows. Take and fulfill religious vows, rules, and observances. These are spiritual contracts with your soul, your community, and God, gods, and Guru. Fast periodically, pilgrimage yearly. Uphold your vows strictly. So that is common in Saiva temples. For example, Skanda Shashti, some take a vow for all 6 days. In Mauritius, they have a similar program. In Thaipusam, they take a vow for 10 days, where they're really living in an austere way, but for just a limited amount of time. So vows are, many vows are just for a specific number of days, like 6 or 9 or a month. Others are for a lifetime. Japa, recitation. Recite your holy mantra daily as instructed by your Guru. Bathe first, quiet the mind, and concentrate fully to let japa harmonize, purify, and uplift you. Let japa quell the emotions and rivers of thought. Tapas, austerity. Tamil word tavam. Practice from time to time austerity, serious disciplines, penance and sacrifice. Atone for misdeeds through penance, such as 108 prostrations or fasting. Perform self-denial, giving up cherished possessions, money or time. So to summarize that idea of yamas and niyamas, yamas and niyamas, restraints and observances can be called a code of conduct. It's found in many scriptures. You find it in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, various Upanishads, Armugalavala, Saiva Siddhanta, and the verses we quoted are from the Tutamandala, which of course is in the Tutamandala. So yamas and niyamas are part of the Tutamandala scripture. And different versions of this, and this version here is from our book Path to Shiva. It's a very simple list of 10 yamas and 10 niyamas. And we're getting a new one, 4 padas. We're going on Path to Shiva, lesson 30. What are the past 4 stages? Stages is the English translation of the word pada in this context. And we're also adding additional material. So we have 3 key Saiva Siddhanta terms. These are good to memorize, they're easy. The first is pada, a stage of practice and unfoldment of which there are 4. So that's Charya, Kriya, Yoga, Jnana, or in Tamil, Sarya, Kriya, Yoga, and Jnana. So there's 4 padas, or stages of practice. The second is marga, path. Each pada has its own marga, which states the relationship the soul has to God. So, for example, Charya is dasa marga. The soul is a servant. God is the master. So the relationship of the soul to God is that of a servant to master. Third is patavi, attainment. Each pada has its own specific attainment. So, looking at an overview, the eternal path is divided naturally into 4 separate categories. The Bhagavad Gita, the popular book from Vedanta, and which has made Hindu philosophy well known in the English world, defines these as 4 separate non-progressive paths. You all know what they are: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. That is the Vedanta categorization of practice. In Agamic scripture, these are defined a little differently and are considered to be 4 stages called padas of a progressive path, termed Charya, Kriya, Yoga, and Jnana in Sanskrit. Formal equivalents: Saryai, Kiryai, Yogam, and Jnanam. These 4 padas are quite similar to the 4 yogas of Vedanta: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. However, there's one key difference. Whereas in Vedanta you can choose to follow just one of the yogas, in Siddhanta we need to pass through all 4 padas. Can't just rely on one. Simple analogy will illustrate the difference. The goal is to walk across a shallow stream on a path of river rocks. The most widely known interpretation of Vedanta gives us 4 separate rock paths to choose from, one for each of the 4 yogas, all of which lead across the stream. Siddhanta gives us only one path for crossing the stream, which consists of 4 stones: Charya, Kriya, Yoga, and Jnana. According to the Agamic tradition, these 4 categories are the natural sequence of the soul's evolutionary process, much like the development of a butterfly from egg to larva, from larva to caterpillar,